going to be a 1-step or a 2-step. So it's now going in this rotation. So my safe spot is actually going to be right here, okay? Stone 51 to 60. If you got through 41, congratulations, good. I would say 51, there is a couple changes here, a couple alterations that are worth noting. One, the enemies are still kind of steadily climbing up in terms of their difficulty, but not to a bigger extent. They will be a little bit harder than 41, that's it. Now, the AoEs here, though, are going to come close to killing you, if not killing you straight up. I think without steel, you're definitely dead to AoE, so you want to be very careful. And like the previous floor set, we're going to go through every single enemy at least once to show you what they do. The boss here is probably one of the trickiest bosses of this entire deep dungeon, so definitely give it some time to showcase it to you. Hopefully I explain it in a pretty decent way as we go about it, because I'll be honest, I've been a little shaky on it recently for whatever reason, so we'll see how it goes. And lastly, kind of a Eureka Orthos kind of tactic. If you've done Eureka Orthos, this will sound familiar. If not, all good. Incenses should be dropping at a more significant rate starting at 51. For whatever reason, they are tuned a little bit higher, and from 51 to 80, it's at a pretty good rate, where it actually increases 81 plus, but again, we'll talk about that when we get there. So don't be surprised if we see a decent amount of incenses coming in when the past 20 floors we've seen nothing. From 31 to 50, we actually saw 0 incenses. So those are the kind of the particulars of this one that you'll expect. The rest of it will be actually inside the content. So let's hop on in 51. We're going to re-up our food when we hop on in. Additionally, we'll do what I did on 41, and we'll pop a strength as an opener. Actually, I will pop a strength in a little bit, and do it once we get to a pull. The floors that stop dropping potsherds is 71, and we'll definitely get over that once we go over there, but 71 they start dropping. So I already located the exit, so I kind of want to go away from the exit right now. So we're going to go in this direction. Alright, Fortune. So we have 2 enemies here. One is a lot deadlier than the other. We're going to pop the strength here. The Beetle will kind of be a very traditional Beetle. If you fought one in Palace of the Dead, it kind of does the same thing, although it's not a charge up for that attack. Now, when this thing gets a little bit lower on HP, it's going to do an evasion up, which is Samurai. Again, you're probably going to kill it before it even gets there, so kind of a moot point, if you will. But I'll let it kind of go off here, just so you can see it kind of go off. I believe it's low HP or timer. Might actually be timer, but I'm pretty sure I see that. There's a Rhino Guard right there. Okay, so now this next one, the Scorpion, the Tawnyclaw, it will do a very traditional move called Tail Screw. Actually, it's not because I killed it. I'll pull another one. And that move that didn't happen because we murdered it really, really fast, so we'll pull another one to showcase it to you. But it does Tail Screw, which is a very traditional move. It'll drop you to 1 HP, and it will do a Coeurl move after that as well, all of which are very easily avoidable. So not really too concerning, but also something that you want to keep in mind. This one is definitely going to do more of a standard rotation, where we'll start with the tail screw, eventually. So there's the tail screw right over there. And I believe it does do a Coeurl. Or just in the tail, fine too. Yeah, tail screws its main thing. Boom. And that's like the only AoE here that you can theoretically survive because it drops you to 1, but of course you need to have enough HP to heal to actually get off of 1. So that's one thing to note. Okay, we got 2 more rooms to check, at least 2 more rooms to check. So let's go full more. But with Samurai's power and strength on, you're probably not going to see a lot of these moves go off. This one, the Hyssop, this one will do a giant cone AoE. Poison Mist. That's about it. These are all side aggro, by the way. Still fairly squishy. Like, I would say if you've come from 41 into this set, you'll definitely feel like, oh, we're still kind of powerful here. Yeah, it's fair. The scaling here is pretty appropriate, I would say. And we finally got a Devotion, which we haven't seen in a while. Talked about this when we first got one back, I think, in the 21 set. Where it will, if we use a Devotion, it will put a devotion into the next floor. So if I use it right now, it shows up on 52, but then the devotion that shows up is a guaranteed transformation votive. So it's either the Godmother or it's the Mud Vault. Guaranteed. It's 50-50. It's one of those, but it's always going to be a transformation one. So basically you consider like a floor wipe. Think of it like a petrification if you're in Heaven on High, or similar to a Storms and Eureka Orthos. It's kind of similar to that. Even more similar to like a Rage in Palace of the Dead. So a pretty powerful one, pretty uncommon to pick one up, as we've only seen 2 in this entire 54 so far. Okay, I will check the last room. Again, we're still looking for a raising, so kind of hoping for a lot. Okay, the bronze chest we can ignore. You can get him if you want points or whatever, but I mentioned this on the previous set. 1 to 3, you don't get potsherds yet. You get the potsherds starting at 4. So skipping that bronze chest right there, it's fine, because we're not going to miss out on a potsherd or a glass. It's just the way Deep Dungeon works in terms of the drop rates. Alright, now we have Gloom and Auto Sprint, which is nice, and we get Haste. Let's go. Scorpion. Bigger kills here. Serenity, which is nice, actually, which is interesting, because I do have that sprint going, and these things are not incredibly difficult, so I might actually keep this on for a little bit, just to see if I can get some navigation, and probably use it on the way back. So yeah, what I might actually do here is I might, pull a couple things here, and safety's actually really good. I might pull a couple things here, and then when we get close to the exit, then I will just use it. Actually, no, that doesn't make sense. Actually, I'll just use it now. I'm already away from the exit. Actually, what I should have done... Okay, yeah, I had a strategy in mind that made more sense. I'm like, wait, why would I hold on? So what I probably would have wanted to do is that I wanted to go to the exit first, right? And then kill things closer to there and then run back here later. That would have made more sense, but my brain didn't function that quickly, so... but yeah, like going away from the exit, going towards the exit, discovering the exit first, and then running back to the Serenity and then picking up, that would have been better. It's okay. We picked it up now, so we don't have to deal with the Gloom. And now we're going to proceed out of here. Watching for the tail screw if it even uses it, which it doesn't because we're very strong. This is safety. Kind of eyeing the 2 rooms that are next to me here. Can't really tell which one's the exit, but I would go through both of them anyway. I kind of want to go to a room that isn't the exit, so I don't have to backtrack. And we kind of picked the right direction, but this was a guess. The exit could be in these like kind of corridors here, but... Less movement, the better. Alteration, I am using that alteration. No harm, no foul for dealing with mimics. This is the last floor set that we can stun mimics, because on the next 161 they do convert into gold chests. But they are still silver chests, which means we can still stun them. First encounter with the Pachamama. These guys are pretty standard wyverns. They will do a Coeurl in front, Batterhorn. That's about it. Nothing too special. Hyssop are... I believe they are... Let me see. Was there one in the previous room? I believe there's sound, but let me actually... We can just go test it. Was there one over here? No, there wasn't one over here. I believe there's sound. Which means RP walking is the way to go around them. I'm not sure. I feel like they were sight. Yeah, if we see another one, we'll deal with it. They're easy to kill. So it's actually funny because a lot of these things that are pretty easy to kill, I kind of give a lot less attention to them. Just because you can wipe them out. If anything, it's more important if you're doing bigger pools, but it's still worth noting. Kind of like the deeper we get into the deep dungeon, the more information I will give off. Does that make sense? Alright, we have the angry birds. These birds are angry. And they're actually pretty annoying. You want to make sure that you have the stun on it, because these guys have 3 different moves and they're all pretty big. It has a gigantic Coeurl that can be in front of it. It has a gigantic point blank that can be around it. And it has a donut that can hug into it. And I gotta say, I don't see the donut very often. I also saw in the corner of my eye 2 more that are coming. So let's deal with this bird. So always have stun for this just in case. There does the Coeurl here, so that's okay. But look how big that AoE is. So definitely keep that stun available. But I would say not necessarily burn it if you don't have to. We got another bird coming in here. And there's the giant point blank, but I was running away from this, so that's okay. And they use it pretty quickly in their opening rotation. That's a Coeurl. Okay. And yeah, for whatever reason, all of a sudden, all the birds are over here, so... there. This is going to be a good candidate for a stun here. I could run away from it, but that's why we hold on to the stun. Oh, out pretty quickly. Okay, you're gonna check all the rooms, see what the exit is as well. There is a votive here, so we do want to get that. Like I said, even if it's a negative votive, it's still not it's not that big of a deal. You definitely get more benefit from a votive using it than not. So always get the votives, in my opinion. We are getting Treacherous Ground, which at the time of this video, no one really understands what Treacherous Ground does. The leading candidate is that it increases the chance of a trap in the floor. So think of like an affluence for a trap. But typically for Deep Dungeon, we kind of always hug the walls and we always kind of assume a room has a trap. So it's kind of like not that much of a bad debuff, if you will. Intuition came back. Ooh, that makes it treacherous. Haha. Purification, that's fine. I'll check this room first since I'm over here. Serenity is coming in. I have a patrol in that area, and now we have this is the desert floor right here. Multiple pathways to go, and it's going to be a lot of backtracking. So jogging here is actually really nice to have the jog available, because we will at least cut some of the time down. But there's still a lot of movement that has to happen, and I'm going to really hope that the exit is not to the north, but it could be to the north, and it doesn't seem like it is, which is good, because then I will get to this room and I don't have to double back to the one behind me. If the exit was here, I'd have to double back. I'd have to go to the room down to the south in the middle and then come back up here for the exit. So again, sometimes you can visually see the exit, like you can see the shiny orb that's happening. That can kind of give you the indication that the exit's over there. Sometimes, depending on the angle, you don't actually get that. I'm going to go for this bird. Again, watch the stun here, depending on what it uses. It did use the point blank there, so we're going to go for the stun. Sometimes in this case, it's a lot faster just to kill it. Look, you're melee, man. You're strong. Just go decimate it. There's the exit. There's the orb. I didn't see that from afar, but you could see that white orb before you actually see the animation of the circle exiting there. Next floor set, we're going to be stepping into a couple new sets of enemies that'll show up, and we'll explain all of them as we go by. Ooh, unless the Scorpion wants to come with me. Not really. Okay. No items, which is fine. We've been kind of handling a lot of these enemies pretty well, so no items and the treacherous ground. That was a really good amount of birds. Okay, we have the monitors here. They do kind of do the if you're familiar with Eureka Orthos, they will do their little scale what do you call it? Flame spikes, and also a burning cycle in here. The spikes are not that bad at all. They will reflect damage, but they're not nearly as bad as Eureka Orthos, where that is clearly a one-shot. So we're gonna let it through and take a melee hit here. And you'll see I took 45k over there. Probably die in about 3 shots. So it's not that bad. In Eureka Orthos, that is a one-shot if you do that. But here, not terrible. But I believe it does register like every hit, so you want to be careful if you're spamming abilities and everything. And definitely worth kind of stunning it just to make sure it doesn't get those spikes off. Scales off. Alright, so that's our new enemy there for now. Anything else shows up, I'll get it. And you can actually see visually if it has the scales on. Not quite sure if that's affected with your animations that you see, but... Okay, Mimic here. So again, we still have this stun here. So we can hold the stun for the upcoming mechanic. You can see the spikes going off there, the scales going off there. There's the Malice. We definitely don't want to take a Pox here. Because a Pox, it removes our HP regeneration. And without having items, we cannot heal back. And it would actually kind of force us into a Serenity situation. Which, funny enough, we just actually got the Serenity. Now I'm just going to double check which palms we got. We got a Safety and Fortune. So I might... No, we don't need the Safety. I mean, Safety is going to remove the Treacherous Ground, but I'm still not really going to be overly concerned with Treacherous Ground. So we'll continue as scheduled here. Someone says that the trap debuff guarantees every room to have a trap. That was debunked by one of our buddies. We had a buddy who did Treacherous Ground and then used the site, and then there was a room that didn't have it. So, it's a fair one. But I think the going explanation we have at the moment, it's like an affluence. It increases the chance of it. If that's, you know, enough to work with, but it's still very much a minimal impact on the run, in my opinion. And you can probably go through an entire climb without even seeing Treacherous Ground at all. I mean, that's our first one of the run. Okay, Blazing Trail. Big AoE there like the previous bird. I believe this one will do the circle AoE, unlike the last one. Let me see if we can force it out here. There it is, Fireball. There's that second AoE. I believe it will use these AoEs kind of very randomly. So don't assume it's going to do the line AoE, don't assume it's going to do the Fireball kind of thing. Bird. I'm going to do this one because Lad is in my way. And I don't want to have to deal with two of these things at the moment. The Wyver is getting a little suspiciously close. We're gonna definitely deal with Tail Screw over here. Might get the bird, but that's okay. Overkill. Okay. Let's check that last room. Still looking for a raising, possibly. We have a witching just in case things go south. Funny enough, I actually forgot that I took off the no items for like a brief second there. Checking this room here, and we still have another room to go for. Welcome to the Desert Forest, everybody. Okay, we are off the floor. We're gonna check this last room. Nothing here, and then let's proceed to the exit. And again, a lot of these are side aggro, so you'll see kind of the way I dodge around these enemies to avoid the aggro. Just to kind of avoid their line of sight. This one is in a really good position because I will get behind them. And we'll proceed to the exit. The bird still is over here, but luckily he has gone far enough for me to get around it. These birds are really more deadly if you have a lot of them. I would say probably more deadly in a match party if you didn't pay attention or see one of your buddies pull them. In a solo situation, not too bad as long as you're keeping them kind of in control. More annoying than anything, but at least stun is available. Well, although keep in mind, melee stun is a lot longer of a cooldown than a tank stun. Okay. Strength in. Strength. So that's going to be good against this, and we're going to get bombed. So what's interesting now, we're into the higher floors, right? So a lot of these kind of things that you'll see, you can kind of plan out how you're going to use your Poemanders, because the Poemanders are going to become a little bit more valuable to you as opposed to the earlier floors where it's kind of whatever. So in this case, okay, here's a strategy thought for you guys. We have the Godmother coming into the next floor. So we wouldn't want to use a Pomander of Flight. As let's say if we pick one up, then that's fine. We use one if we pick one up. But like if I need to speed up, then I wouldn't want to use a flight right now because we already have like a floor wipe for the next floor. Additionally, maybe you don't want to use a steal or a strength if you're gonna push it down to 2 and you didn't get an extra one because you're gonna spend a lot of the next floor kind of running around killing things one shot. So there's a little bit of a strategy that gets employed with those Pomander usages, and knowing what's going to be in the next floor kind of allows you to kind of plan ahead. And actually, this alteration is going to be really good. And I was mentioning before how affluence could possibly boost the amount of treasure room. So here, we're going to use the affluence to hopefully boost the treasure room going into the next floor. Maybe we get lucky. But knowing what's in the next room with those votives can allow you to kind of strategize if necessary. If your time is kind of getting a little low and whatever, and you can do things that can kind of help you out a little bit. So that's one thing to keep in mind. That is going to be more of a thing that you see in the higher floors because, time will get a little spicy, so... I'll pull this one, because I have my Ogi up. Watching the AoE coming out here. Gonna check the room to the west, and then we proceed. I actually did not intentionally pull this cat, so let's pull the cat right now. So the cat will do a point-blank AoE. Now, what's interesting about this cat is that it does have a back attack, but you probably will not see the back attack unless you have certain, like, a very specific scenario. And what's actually interesting with this cat is that this cat is on a cycle with its AoE. So if I kind of get this right cycle, I didn't get it. It's going to be really hard to actually pull off that tail thing. So at least a demonstration of getting it to do the tail, the back attack is like really hard to pull off solo. So you really don't have to worry about it too much. You really only have to worry about its point blank. That's more of a match party thing. But an interesting thing with the cat is that it gets on, like, let's say, I think it's like a 15 or 20 second cycle of its AoE, and it will decide to use one of them based on the positioning of the target that it's doing it. So in a match party, if you had someone in the back, there's a chance that it hits someone in the back, or it hits point blank. But since we're almost always going to be in the front with solo, it's not something that you kind of will ever really see. But it does have a back attack that does exist. That line AoE that thing does, that does go through a wall. As I mentioned before, basically all line AoEs in this deep dungeon will shoot through walls, so just mind that one. We're continuing to examine all the rooms to check all the chests, hoping for another raising if possible. Or an incense, which I haven't seen yet either, so there is that. Okay, might hit trap here. Holding first in case of a landmine. Good habit to have. Probably get that wyvern. We'll see. Okay, moving to the exit. Let's go. And again, the next floor is a floor wipe because of the Godmother coming in. Transformation. Alright, so here, the tricky part. And also, this is going to be interesting. So, this is auto-heal disable. So, if we hit a landmine, we do not get that HP back, putting us in a little bit of a dangerous spot. So, what I may want to do here is I want to hug the walls like I would typically do, and just do the AoE this way. A lot of times, like, I would, like, run into the middle of the room just to make sure I AoE everything, but we want to play this a little bit more carefully. A landmine could really jeopardize this, especially without the raising on, so... play this a little bit more carefully. Now you have two enemies here that we are not going to fight at the moment, but we have a Guardian, which Guardian basically just does auto attacking, and we have the Gigant, which will do a pull in and it'll do a pull in followed by a point blank, or it'll do a conal attack. And it does kind of do it a little bit at random. Sometimes it'll pull you in right on pull. Sometimes it'll use it a little bit later in its rotation. So something to note with that one. So that one's a little bit more dangerous if it's like standing in the middle of a room and you pull it and kind of stand in place. You kind of want to make sure that you're careful about that because it might get you and pull you into the room, which could cause a trap happening. So note that for sure. And we have to backtrack to get those chests also. Oh, and then we have the evil Serpent, which are definitely ones that are scary. Once you know how to deal with them, it's not too bad. But they are definitely going to be a little on the scarier side of things. So actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I can leave a couple of these alive so we can fight them right now. Check this room just to make sure. I'm pretty sure the room behind me is a dead end. For the pull-in, you want to either knock back in Bolt or pull them as far as possible to force it to move, as its pull-in is about half of max casting range. Yep. I prefer to just like pull and run away. That's kind of my preferred situation, because I kind of like to have my like cooldowns kind of available for if anything kind of goes wrong and for emergency situations, but that is certainly a strategy. Okay. So we're gonna definitely fight the Serpent, which is a patrol, and then we're gonna fight the Gigant, and then run into the Guardian kind of a little bit later, so we can get the pull on a showcase here. It can be a little dicey because this is the middle of the room. Got our raising, which is huge, so our searching for the chest is tremendous. Steel is actually really good too. Okay, Serpent. I want you to watch the size of this AoE, okay? Basically, as a melee, you want to hug this Serpent. Hug this Serpent, you're perfectly fine. I'm going to kind of chill with this one. Notice the size of this AoE coming out, which is Earth and Auger. It is a massive AoE, but the safe spot is in its hitbox and behind it. Look how big that thing is, and it's going to be a lot of it in front of it. So as a melee, kind of easy peasy. You definitely don't want to drag this thing around with you, but being in its hitbox, keep uptime, keep damage, all good. This one certainly was scary for me. I didn't realize that middle was actually a safe spot, and I always kind of figured out I'd run behind it when I was a tank. But knowing that that safe spot's there kind of makes it pretty simple. I would probably do that for all jobs anyway, instead of running behind it. But it's like, it is behind is open, so. Alright, so now the Gigant. I'm gonna pull it, run back here. So it doesn't pull me in immediately through the room. It does heavy toss, which is the opening Coeurl, but again, it could open with the pull-in. I'm gonna let the pull-in happen first for a second. There's the pull-in, and then it comes in with that big AoE. Not that big, but it definitely, if you are kind of away from that, it can definitely cause problems. Or rather, if you don't start moving, it can definitely cause problems. So, gonna pick up this chest and then off we go. I might get the monitor here because the aggro range. Okay, that's fine. That's expected. Watching the Coeurl first. Serenity, I'll leave it alone. We'll get the silver chest, hoping that it is going to be an incense, which is... I haven't seen one. No, we still don't have one. Okay. Have not seen one for like 26 floors, so... pretty rough, but... Yeah, those Gigants are definitely scary if you're doing multi-pull, because it can cause a lot of issues. Anything with a knockback can wreak havoc on any pulls. But that's for like the multi-pullers up there. I know when I was doing some score runs, I definitely just dealt with them more carefully than anything else. Because knowing that that was going to be a problem. But luckily, when you're doing single pulls, it's not going to be too bad. And actually now with the knockback disable, it kind of neutralizes those enemies, which is kind of cool. Alright, now we have the Howler. Howler's a new enemy here that we're going to go for. These guys will do a dive in first. And it's going to do one of two things. It's going to do either point blank, or it's going to do an AoE around it. So this is a donut, rather. This is Scythe-tail. It's going to do an AoE around it. That one's pretty simple. It is stunnable. So you could stun the move if you want to. I'm going to see if I can get to the other move here. And it's not necessarily because it's far close. Oh, there you go. That's the other one. That's a donut. It goes around it. That's why. Those two moves, by the way, the Scythe Tail and the Master 11 are line-of-sightable, but not the Barrel Smash. That one you don't want to line of sight using a wall. You want to get to the side, much like the 1-2 March ants that we had earlier. So that covers those guys. I believe I saw another enemy, what the community likes to call the Bulbasaur, which is what I picked up from Mr. Omniross, who called that. And we'll show you what that one does in a second. Safety, which I'll use. Here, just for a safety moment, I will show you what the move does that it will do in this first thing, but I will Witching as a pure safety play. So these guys, the Saichania, are stunnable, but it will do a move called Bafflement Bulb. And what's going to happen with Bafflement Bulb is that it gives you misdirection. I'm going to let it go off, but I'm going to also Witching here. It gives you misdirection because what's going to happen is it's going to do one of two moves. It's going to do a Coeurl in front of it, or a point blank around it. So certainly the better answer is just to stun the move, just so you don't have to deal with misdirection in case you're not that great with misdirection. But that's kind of a trickery of that kind of wombo combo attack that is meant to kind of, you know, mess you up and stuff. So, all right. So now we're gonna pull the Guardian. The Guardian's gonna come in here. All it does is auto attacks. We actually think that this thing is like a weird enemy because it's like it must have something, must have some weird interaction. No, it literally just does auto attacks. So these are kind of a really cool one to pull. The auto attacks don't do that much either. So, but there you go. That's most of the enemies up to this point. So let's go get the chest up there, and then we're gonna be off to the exit, which I have now identified is to the west over here. Haste, which is good. Oh, there's another chest here. I'm like, well, why is there so gold chest? Where's the other gold chest? Oh, it's right by the Howler. Okay, didn't notice that one. Getting closer to the boss. The boss here, as advertised, this one's probably one of the more tricky ones. For me, it was tricky. I do feel like I have it more or less down. So we'll definitely do... And it looks like I'm going to have to do it, like, straight up, too. Like, without any kind of help. As we have yet to see a freaking incense on this run. Incredible. Didn't I say at the beginning of this floor set that the incenses are a much higher rate, 51+? Yeah, I guess I was lying. Because we haven't seen one. And I've been kind of... You know, we've been using affluences quite a bit, too. So, but hey, this Steep Dungeon, sometimes it is what it is. And even when checking all the chests and giving yourself the highest possibility, you still see... you know, RNG is still RNG. So... Okay, good. Move away from that room. We're gonna hug these walls, get that last chest over there, and off to 58 we go. I believe we've actually seen everything on this floor set now, so you should have a good idea of what everything does. Not too scary. I think all of them outside of the very first enemy was a sound aggro. So everything is sight, so it's pretty straightforward to dodge all those aggros. Alright, no items, but we do have... Oh, a steel's gonna drop, which is fine. That's the exit. I don't know if you already saw that, but I saw the exit right in that orb, so I'm gonna go this way instead. Still could hunt down the raising. That would be really nice. Okay, going away from this enemy. Again, these guys only do auto attacks, so nothing too crazy with these guys. And watch our time. Our time is really good. Again, once again, we've been kind of vibing, chilling, just talking about enemies, doing a little science for you guys to see what everything does. We are going slightly slower than last floor, but we're still pretty good on time, so this still feels kind of like, you know, pretty calm, pretty relaxing. You don't have to do anything overly crazy. We've been single pulling the entire time, keeping our palms at 3, not overusing anything. So in terms of time, I would say certainly for melee, you know, as long as you're doing mechanics okay, as long as you're not hitting the traps too much, you're definitely going to be okay with the pace guessing over here. Again, it will progressively get more difficult as we go in the higher floors. So I would say certainly the difficulty here is kind of knowing what the enemies do and making sure you're resolving mechanics. That's certainly one that you want to make sure that you do correctly, because here, like I said, the things here are more than likely going to one-shot you without a steal, so you definitely don't want to get hit with any AoEs that are coming out. And just play definitely safe. Okay, Fortune. Checking the last room, I'll pull the Guardian. And this is yet another big room. We have one more room to the south, and the exit's to the north, so we have a lot of ground to cover at the moment. All right, let's go. The Bulbasaur is looking... I could sneak past these guys. There's actually two of them over here. Sneak past these guys, see if we get a silver chest. And if anything, the silver chest is really what I'm hoping for, because, you know, that's the biggest need at the moment. Raising Star too, which is really nice. Picking up this chest, still nothing useful. Not worth me using the Serenity here. I could pop a Serenity to use a lot of these items, but we're still on the lower floor, so I'm not overly concerned about needing the Serenity for those situations. Mighty Spin, we're gonna run away from this thing. Hopefully I'm gonna get far enough, because I actually had a late start. There you go. There's the Mighty Spin. The other one is the Trounce that will be in front of it. Actually, I should pull another one so you can possibly see that Trounce. So let's pull another one for now. Oh, but I don't have, Actually, I'm gonna run away from this one, because I don't have stun for this one. So we can line of sight this. And now it's going to use Mighty Spin again. So it does have a Trounce move, like I mentioned. I'm going to try to pull another one so you can kind of see what that move looks like. Because it's like a thinner Coeurl. It's not like the wide Coeurl that you see from like the Gigant, which are wider and like shorter. This one is like thin and kind of a long AoE. Okay, stunning the Bafflement here. Watching for its next move after the stun. It is going to be Trounce. There it is. Okay, so we can get behind it. Look at the size of its AoE. Big, but thin in right by its mouth. Okay, not gonna pull the Gigant. I'm gonna go closer to the exit in case the exit's kind of blocked by something. And I would want to check the room that's after that, but like, because I believe there is another room that is ahead of that area, so I can check what that chest is. And again, I mean, yeah, sure, like we're overcapped in a lot of things, but there are still a few things we could be looking for. We want to pull, because I still have a couple of my cooldowns available, so I'm actually going to pull this one and then pull back so we don't get pulled in right away. There's the pull in. Gonna run away. Actually, I did a dangerous thing there. I kind of ran through the enemy. Definitely don't want to run through the enemy when you're trying to avoid a point blank for sure, because it's less distancing. My stun is available, so I'm going to pull this now. Prep the stun here. Stun is going out now. Watching the next move, it is going to be Mighty Spin, so we're moving out. It's dead. Ooh, we got the special key. I don't want to pull another one of the Bulbasaur, so I'm actually going to go this way because there's two rooms to go. We can pull this one. Again, this one we're going to hug the middle here to avoid its mechanics. Look how big it is. Big AoE there. Alright, I'm going to check this room. That room had a gold chest, so more than likely I'm not going to be able to get anything out of it. And that is also a gold chest, so I will skip and just go to the exit. I think. We can probably check this room. How does it look? Yeah, they're both facing away. We can go for this one. I'll go for this one. Alteration, okay. We couldn't pick up any chests here because they were all overcapped, but that's not a big deal. We have one more room leading into the boss room. We will want to strengthen Steel for the boss for sure, and Haste and Steel for the boss, let me tell you. Steel's gonna be good, especially if you're quite not used to the boss yet, and if you take any hits, it's gonna set you back quite a lot. Especially with the HP and not running any instances whatsoever, which we once again probably have to do. Okay, so I mentioned this a couple floors ago, how we want to strategically use our buffs here. I don't need that steel for this floor set. I mean, if I get hit with an AoE, I'm gonna die regardless, right? So I'm gonna use that steal on my way out, so that I would have kind of a full duration steal going into the boss. Now, I don't think I need 8 minutes on the boss even without an incense. But hey, look, may as well get the most use out of it, right? That looks like a treasure room. We haven't seen one in a while, and that certainly very much looks like a treasure room. So let me actually clear this up. And we got a raising. That's actually really good. So yay us, we got a raising for insurance. This is actually really good for anyone else's runs because, hey man, if you're not used to the floor set, good way to kind of keep yourself alive and maybe try some things, you know? Ooh, almost caused a little bit of a problem there. Okay, I'm gonna pull this now just to get rid of it. Here's the pull in, gonna run back. Now, I kind of emptied this room just so it can, like, they were kind of hugging around the exit a little bit, so they might cause a problem. A lot of times I kind of only kill as much as I need to, but that exit was a little bit covered. Now here we got an interesting thing. They're kind of like all in the middle. So I'm actually going to walk through here, which seems to be okay to do. They're also all facing in one direction, so that's kind of a little bit of an advantage for me, but I may not be able to get behind them. I do want to check these chests. So how's my stun? My stun is good. I'm gonna pull this one. Oh, gonna pull this one back and way back so it doesn't pull me into the middle of the room. Unsure if there's a patrol floating around, so I may want to turn around in a second or just kill this really fast. We have witchings in case anything goes south, so. Okay, I wanted to pull this one first so it doesn't cause any problems with any of the other pulls, but now I pulled this one, but we did two, so I'm actually going to witching here because they're both going to do bafflement. A little unfortunate timing, but hey, that's what a witching is for. Because I could stun one, but then I'm not sure about that other one, and then I have to contend with two different AoEs, so we'll play that one safer just to not cause any issues. And there's kind of our first kind of mistake, if you will, and our remedy to the mistake. We used the witching earlier because I wanted to demonstrate baffling, and so now we're down to one witching. We haven't picked it back up. Now this thing is going to come back up, but I do have my stun because I didn't stun earlier, so at least we're okay with this popping out of witching in 30 seconds. Watching its moveset here. There it is in the stun. It's going to die before it does the next move, so that's okay. Checking the chest, and then I'm going to carve my way through the treasure room. Now, because of the way this thing is set up, I don't really think I get to the north room, because it may cause too many kills. I'm going to kind of carve enemies that kind of get me there, but if the exit opens, I'm just going to go and leave. I won't really need the kind of bonus kills, if you will. It's kind of unnecessary, so we're not going to make this any more complicated than it needs to be. Gotta watch the Coeurl, because usually he's been falling with the Coeurl directly after. There's the Coeurl. Gotta get a position so I don't aggro the Howler there. Okay, cool. We're leaving. Yeah, we're gonna leave in this situation because it causes a little bit more complexity to go over there. I mean, again, I could use an incense, but I might have to kill like 2 things to probably get to that room. So we'll just kind of go now. There is actually a patrol floating around. We do have the steal, and we're gonna strength and haste on the boss because now we don't have any incenses to use because we haven't seen one in 30 floors. And I am not intentionally avoiding them, let me tell you. Certainly, if there's watching this for us, that you can see how many silver chests we got to and how many of them didn't give us any, and we haven't used any. Steel here. There's going to be a couple things to watch out in the boss, and we'll definitely get to it once we get there. It can get a little tricky and a little spicy, but I think once you kind of get a feel for it, it becomes a little bit more simplified. So hopefully we'll showcase that to you. I'm gonna haste on the exit. I don't really have to. I can haste in the boss, but that's okay. BGM up if you don't have the BGM. Good music here for this fight. We got a giant cactuar. There's going to be a lot of kind of domino effect type of mechanics and a lot of rotating mechanics. I was really bad with the rotating mechanics personally, but once I kind of got an understanding for it, it wasn't too bad. So let's do the pull here. Alright, very first move it's going to do is it's going to shoot needles from the front and the back. It is a Coeurl, so you want to get to the side. Use the markers as the side. Watch the attack. Boom, front and back. That's always going to do front and back for the duration of this fight here. Now it's going to do one of its main mechanics. It's going to do the branch out, which will do kind of a patternistic movement here. Kind of rough for melee, but we'll figure this one out. So it drops 1, it drops 2. We want to be stepping into 3 and into 4 actually. So here, I'm going to step into the 4th one. We're going to go into the 2nd one after it dissipates. So that's 1. That's 2. Now I'm going to move out to here to get to the safe spot. 3 goes off, and now 4 goes off. So you want to kind of want to identify 1 and 2, and start between 3 or 4 depending on what the pattern is. So that is one pattern. We're doing really good damage here. So now we're going to get to the second mechanic here, which is going to be a rotating mechanic. Here, I eye the two that are around next to each other. So right there, those are the two next to each other. So I'm going to be looking for, it's going to be a 1-step or a 2-step. So it's now going in this rotation. So my safe spot is actually going to be right here, okay? So I'm just going to backstep after that. How I'm looking at that is I'm looking at the big boys and where they're moving. They're going to be going in a 9-square rotation. So if you kind of find the two that are together, that kind of really eliminates a lot of the spacing of where you need to go in terms of where that safe spot is. You don't have to worry about the other one that's kind of solo. As long as you're like really far away from it, which you will be, that's how you can kind of judge where you need to go with that motion. So look for the 2 and then adjust to the 2. Okay, gonna get a little bit of here. Now we've seen everything, but the patterns are going to be different. So here we'll see what kind of pattern we get over this one. So that's the first one. That's the second one, so it's a little similar to the other one. That's the third one, and we're going to the fourth one. It's actually the same one, but flipped here. So I'm gonna go over to the fourth one. We're gonna stand at the fourth. We're gonna wait for the first one to go off. We're gonna wait for the second one to go off. Now we're gonna move into the open spot over here. Okay, and hold. Then it's gonna go front and back. We're halfway through this fight. Now it's gonna do the rotation again. So observe the two big cactuses that are next to each other, and then we'll see if it's a 1-step or a 2-step and make our adjustment that way. Okay, so the 2 are over here, so I'm already going to go into this position. It's a 2-step march. So I want to kind of go in a position that will be going away from this guy. So if I'm over here, this will be good, because it's going to be 2 steps, and these big boys are going to go away from me, and I get into the opening with the two motions here. So ready, 1, 2, and we're good. I only did that for demonstration. Definitely didn't get any uptime there, but I just wanted to kind of demonstrate while not really doing DPS on that one. Here we're going to circle around this one. You want to be kind of tight here, because honestly, if you're not that tight, this can get a little spicy. I'm actually a little too tight there, and this hurts. That I would say you're probably dead in 2 or 3 hits, so you'll be very careful with that one. And so you can make an adjustment, especially melee, but you are going to be kind of a little bit closer to the hitbox. Let's see what kind of pattern we get here. We get the first one. We get the second one. Okay, this is an interesting one. So number 3, we're going to stand on 3 for this one instead of standing on 4. We could stand on 4, actually. We're going to wait for the first one to go off. And then we step over here and then go forward. Number 2 goes off, and then number 3 goes off. We just kind of make it over there. And then 4 will go off over, and that edge over there. So that's a different pattern over there. So we're looking for the first and the second, and then making our adjustment on the third and the fourth. So this one is going to probably die on this following rotation. You can see one more branch out coming up. So again, we're going to locate the 2 that are kind of next to each other. So here's the 2 that are next to each other. We're going to see if it's 1 or 2. 2-step. We're going to see the direction. Okay, so now it's going to be back over here. So the thing is going to be the opening right behind me this way. So here I'm going to try to do a little uptime here. Jump back. I'm going to hold here. Oh, actually, this might not be safe. I don't think this is safe. It is not safe. Nice. We only get hit with once, so that's fine. And that way you can also see the damage that went on when we got hit with it. So I didn't actually look at where the other one was, the bigger one. So that one actually burned me on that one. However, you saw what kind of damage I took without any extra HP boost. So if anything, good. If you saw how much damage you can take and how much leeway you have on this fight if you take one or two hits. So there you go. That's the 60 boss. So this one can get a little complex because it does have a little pattern, a couple of patterns, and we certainly didn't see all the patterns, that's for sure. But that's how you can kind of resolve it. I kind of look for that first and second, and then go for the third on the ones that are lying, and then you look for the 2 that are together. I kind of mispositioned myself on that 2 one, but hey, you can look at the video and find the actual safe spot if you wanted to. So there you go. Oops, let's leave. That is 51-60 in the books.